Hello there, friends. My name is Julie Norman, and I have adopted my adopted family's genealogy. And let me explain. I was born in South Korea, and possibly near the Seoul area. We don't know. I was dropped off at an orphanage, and with no name, no birth date, nobody claimed, no record at all. So what happened was my adopted parents, which I just call my parents, they had two boys that were born to them, and then they lost three baby girls. So there's three miscarriages. When they told me the story when I was younger, I was just like, oh, okay, and I didn't realize the heartbreak that those words carried until much later when my mom was gone, and I just couldn't sympathize, as a little kid with that. But what they decided to do was to adopt three girls. So the first two girls that they adopted came from the United States, and I believe they might have even been from Minnesota, which is where they lived. And the one sister looks so much like the family that like one of the cousins born to the family, that people thought they were twins. So they looked a lot like. And then they adopted me, so I looked hardly anything like them. I always kidded that I took after my dad with his hair. He has no hair. But humor is good. I was put into an orphanage in Korea. I was born somewhere in South Korea, probably near Seoul. And when I arrived at the orphanage, somehow I was dropped off or found somewhere and picked up and brought in. I didn't have a name. I didn't have a birth date. There's no record of anything in the past until I arrived at the orphanage. So they gave me a name. They estimated my birthday, and that my history started. There is one baby picture I have of that time, and I'm a fat, chubby little baby because apparently I ate a bowl of rice every day. So I guess some things have not changed. I still like rice. My mom said that when they went to the adoption agency, there were stacks and stacks of books of profiles of children that were waiting to be adopted. And they weren't going to sit there and go, oh, I like this one, I don't like that one. They weren't going to be picky and choosy about it. They were going to let God decide. So they just pulled a book off the shelf at random, opened it up, and said, this is the one we want. And that was me. So that was all basically God's doing, that I arrived. I was 18 months at the time I arrived in the United States, and there was a plane of babies with their, I don't know what they call them anymore. I forgot the name of it, but they were the ladies who cared for us over on the flight. The lady who brought me, her name was Mrs. Moon, and apparently she cried when she handed me over. And my two parents and my older brothers and my two sisters, because I'm the youngest, all were there to greet me off the plane, because this was a day where you greeted people off the plane. You didn't have to wait till they came out of the airport. I would only go to my one brother, Joel, and there's just such a presence about Joel. He was just a loving man. And he was all about people, and he always had that presence, peace about him. Peace and it was probably the presence of Christ in him. But I would not go to anyone but him right away. And apparently at night, because of the time difference, I would be up and crying, and my mom would be holding me and comforting me, and I would call her Amma and pat her face, and those are the things that I was told when I came over. But I always knew growing up that I was loved, and I was there because I was wanted, and we all knew that. All three of us girls, we couldn't have had a better mom and dad. They're not perfect, but we always knew there was love, and so it was a good place to grow up, even though it was a predominantly Caucasian area, and I'm still living in a predominantly Caucasian area. I don't know if it's just because I'm used to it. I do like living out in rural areas, and that seems to be where there are a lot of Caucasian people, because now I'm in Montana. But that's okay, I'm used to it, and as long as I don't go to places where people are aggressively negative towards minorities, it seems fine. So, anyways, that's the story of my family and where I start from. And I was the only one of the siblings who have been interested in genealogy and in the history. I've always liked history. If you see my other channel, I am very into the stuff where ephemera, historical things. I do sell a lot of postcards and those kinds of things of the past. So that's just part, and photos. So that's just part of it. And my dad said one time that maybe I like that because I don't have a history of my own. There could be something of that. And it could just be that I like history and I just feel so much a part of the family that it feels like the ancestors in here, are just part of my life, and not that not only did they adopt me, but I adopted them. So there you go. That's the story, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye bye.